Welcome back. So we are going to continue our discussion for Chapter 2 about a wrapper class. We are going to take a look at an example. In our textbook is Java class example 7 number. And it's about the Java integer class. Okay. In order to use it, you need to import it from Java language and integer, okay, the package to use it. And we can see for the integer wrapper object to be created, you can just directly assign an integer value to it. We call it auto boxing. Then this integer x will have the value of 100 of the object. And then you can use the int_var method to convert from the class type to primitive value. Okay. And you can conduct arithmetic operation. And we can see the output here. And what next is we have a function called modify integer, and the parameter type is wrapper integer I. Okay, and you set it to -100. So let's see if it works. And if you remember, we call it in main, is it? But in main, after we call it, the value is still positive 100, so it's not modified. So it proves that it is immutable. Okay? So this concept is similar as a string's immutability. Okay? So you can kind of also draw the diagram. Okay, the heap memory diagram to understand it better. And for the integer wrapper class, it also has this value of class method. So it's defined as static, okay, inside the integer class, because you here directly call the integer class. And this is a string integer value. And if you want to get the object integer value, you can call this value of function. And for string, we can also call pass in. Then it will convert it to primitive integer value. And for both the wrapper class type and the primitive type, they can just directly go ahead and do arithmetic operation. Okay. And the next, because integer object is immutable, so if you do want to modify, how do we do that? And if you remember, in previous chapter, we discussed you can use array. Okay. Let's take a look. So here is the approach that we can use. So here we have this integer. It's just a one element integer, okay? And you assign it 200. Then you try to modify. And what this function does is just set the first element to 999. And it passes in a primitive integer array, okay? And the output, you can see it does modify, okay? So it is modified. And why this can work if we take a look. So here is our stack memory, and we have this ARR array. Okay? And here is our heap memory, and you do have that new int that so the int will point because it just has one element, so it will go ahead and point to here and assign value 200 to it. And then you go ahead and call this. So this is P in R. That will also point to here. And then you want to change it to 999. Yeah, so that's why it does modified. Okay. And next, let's see the next cases. And this time, this modified integer array function, the type, the parameter type is still integer, but it's the wrapper integer class type, okay, array. And you do want the first item got modified, right? And it does show that we can achieve this modification. And then let's take a look what happened in main. In main, you have this ARR. Okay, so here is our stack. And we have this ARR. Okay, and here is our heap memory. And because it's called new integer, but this time it's the object type. Is it object type? So, and because it's an object type, so it has this ARI sub 0, then, okay, then what it does, it will refer to some place called x2, and if you recall, x2 is 200, so here we have x2. And it's an object 200, is it? And ARR0 also going to refer here, point here, okay? And then in that uh, function, what it does, it has a parameter ARR, okay? And initially it's also point, because it's a copy of ARRI, so it's also point here, is it? But then what it does is, because it also has this ARR, is it sub-zero? Then set ARR sub-zero, it reset it. Oh, this one still exists, 200, okay. So it's reset it to that negative 1999, okay, because it's integer type. So it will do that auto boxing. When that auto boxing, so that PAR sub 0 equals negative 999. When this statement happens, it will get a new block of memory, is it? And it will point to here. Okay. So basically you can see it's just this array, the first element is not going to refer x to 2 anymore. So this is not going to be referred. Instead, it's going to refer to this new heap memory location. So that's why the content still can be changed, can be modified. Okay. And for this part, if it's not used anymore, then it will be garbage collection. Okay. So that's the whole idea. Okay. So even though integer is immutable, for the wrapper class, but through array, we can see because of the reference point is going to be changed in this case for array. So that's why the content is still modified. Okay, so that's all the information about this chapter. Okay, so we will stop here. And for our next lecture, we will uh, move to the next chapter. So let's stop here.